My perfect life ended with a single sentence, a ghost on a glowing screen said just after midnight. I cannot keep lying to you, Olivia. I have been with her for months. The words were from my husband, David, but they were not for me. My world, a carefully constructed house of glass built over 12 years of marriage, did not just crack. It atomized, turning into a fine, sharp dust that settled in my lungs, making it impossible to breathe. Before that text, my life was a picture of serene success. I am a 36-year-old landscape architect, and I found joy in creating beauty and order from wild, untamed spaces. Our home was my masterpiece, a testament to the life David and I had built, a sprawling garden, a kitchen that smelled of rosemary and fresh bread, and a shared bed where I thought our dreams were safe. I cherished the quiet stability, the comfortable rhythm of our days. Away his key in the lock was the sound of my universe clicking into place. We were not just married. We were an institution, a landmark in our circle of friends, the couple everyone assumed would last forever. I loved the weight of his hand on my back, the familiar scent of his aftershave on our shared towels, the simple, solid fact of him. He was my anchor, my beginning and my end, or so I had foolishly believed. The night I saw that message on his forgotten phone, the air in our bedroom grew thin and cold. I did not confront him. I simply placed the phone back on his nightstand, the screen dark once more, holding its toxic secret. The next morning, he was gone. No dramatic fight, no tearful goodbye, just an empty space on his side of the bed and a note on the cool marble of the kitchen counter. I am sorry, Olivia. I am done. Done. A word so small for the complete demolition of a life. The first few weeks were a hollow echo. I walked through the rooms of our house, my house now, and felt like a ghost haunting my own life. The silence was the loudest sound I had ever heard. It was in the second coffee cup that remained on the shelf, the passenger seat that stayed empty, a vast cold expanse of our mattress. My grief was a physical thing, a heavy cloak I could not take off. I tasted metal in my mouth when I cried, the flavor of my own blood and tears. Sometimes I would stand in his closet and just breathe in the faint, lingering scent of him on a sweater. A masochistic ritual that both broke me and kept me tethered to what I had lost. The pain soon curdled into a quiet, simmering rage. I started talking to myself, my voice sharp in the empty rooms. To make ends meet and to break the crushing silence, I decided to rent out the small studio apartment above our detached garage. I needed the income, but more than that, I needed to hear another human heartbeat on this property. I needed a presence to prove I was not entirely alone in the wreckage. That is when Marcus answered the advertisement. He was younger, maybe 27 or 28, with eyes that held a quiet storm and hands stained with charcoal dust. He was an illustrator, he explained, seeking solitude to finish a graphic novel. His voice was soft, a low rumble that did not echo the way my own did. When he moved in, the silence of the house changed. It was no longer an absence, but a quiet filled with potential. I would hear the gentle scratch of his pencil on paper as I weeded the garden below his window, or the soft notes of a sad, beautiful song he played on his guitar in the evenings. We started with shy waves, then brief chats by the mailbox. He would comment on my flowers, and I would ask about his art. He never looked at me with pity, the way my friends did. He just looked at me. One rainy Tuesday, I found him on his small balcony, watching the storm, his face turned up to the gray sky. He was not wearing a shirt, and the cool, damp air clung to his skin. I saw the map of scars across his back, faint white lines against his tanned skin, and for the first time, I felt a pang of curiosity that was stronger than my grief. I was holding a mug of tea, and on an impulse I cannot explain, I called up to him, "Would you like one?" He looked down, a small, genuine smile touching his lips for the first time. "I would love one," he said. I brought it up to him, and we stood there in the shelter of the overhang, the rain drumming a rhythm on the roof. He told me about the accident that gave him his scars. I told him about the garden, about how I preferred tending to things that grow back after they have been cut down. His gaze was so direct, so full of an understanding that went beyond words. My hand brushed his as I passed him the mug, and a jolt, warm and electric, shot up my arm. It was the first thing I had felt, truly felt. In months that was not pain. My breath caught in my throat. He did not pull away. His fingers lingered against mine for a heart-stopping second, and in his eyes, I saw my own loneliness reflected back at me. But this time, it was not an ending. It felt like a beginning. If this confession has you on the edge of your seat, hit like and share, because you will not believe what happens next. That night, I could not sleep. The feeling of his skin against mine was imprinted on my senses. The house no longer felt empty. It felt charged, humming with a new and terrifying energy. The next day, he left a small folded piece of paper at my door. I opened it to find a charcoal sketch. It was not of me, not exactly. It was a drawing of a woman's hands tending to a single resilient rose that was pushing its way through cracked, broken earth. The hands were mine. I knew it instantly. It was the most intimate, most vulnerable thing anyone had ever shown me. He had not just seen my garden, he had seen my soul. He had seen my grief and my strength, and he had called it beautiful. I walked out to the garden, the drawing clutched in my hand, my heart beating a frantic, hopeful rhythm against my ribs. He was there, packing up his art supplies, ready to head to a cafe. He saw me, and the question was there in his eyes. I did not have to say a word. I just nodded, a tear tracing a path down my cheek, not of sadness, but of a profound, earth-shattering relief. It was a confession without a single syllable spoken. This was more than a tenant in my studio. This was more than a distraction from my heartache. This was a man who saw the garden I was trying to rebuild inside myself. This was a love I never expected, a forbidden, fragile thing that was taking root in the ruins of my old life. My marriage was an ending, a painful, necessary death. But as I stood there, looking at this younger man who saw me so clearly, I realized that some endings are not just about loss. Sometimes they are about making space for something new to grow. This love felt dangerous and impossible, a quiet rebellion against my own sorrow. But for the first time since my world fell apart, I felt a flicker of something I thought I had lost forever: hope. I was Olivia, a woman who had lost everything, but in the quiet gaze of my tenant, I was beginning to find myself. If you crave more raw emotional confessions, please like, share, and subscribe. Your next chapter awaits.